Hey everybody, Questwise here, and in this video I want to talk about a game that's it's very near and dear to me. And it's not because I was able to contribute to it or work on this game at all, but because it fits in a genre of fantasy role-playing that's uh, I find very appealing. And that is a very sort of folklore, Tolkien-inspired fantasy that can be sort of epic in scale, but at the same time have these very character-driven sort of inspirational stories. And that is the Hero's Journey 2nd Edition by James M Spahn, Barrel Rider Games, and Gallant Knight Games. If you go far enough back in my catalog, you'll see a review of the Hero's Journey 1st Edition, which I absolutely loved. I raved about. So when 2nd Edition came out, I jumped at the chance to grab a copy of it in PDF, and even fell more even in love with this game. The 2nd Edition really, I don't want to say radically changed the way the game is played, but it really focused upon the things that James Spahn really loves about fantasy. And in a way, I feel like I'm very sort of connected to him in the sense that we obviously have the same sort of love of that particular type of storytelling. And this game, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about this game today because, and I've talked about 2nd Edition before, but there's some new stuff that's come out that I really want to sort of exemplify a little bit more of how this game becomes even more awesome. So one of the things about it is the way that magic works. One of the things that really fascinated me about Tolkien fantasy, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, The Silmarillion, even some of the extra sort of outside the realm of Middle Earth sort of fantasy that Tolkien had written about, was the fact that their magic sort of infused the story. But there were no like wizards throwing fireballs. There were no overly pompous displays of magical power. But yet you could still feel that magic sort of permeated everything that was there. The elves were infused with it. That Gandalf was somebody that was larger than life, and he had this very extreme amount of magical power, but at the same time was not like there at the forefront of just like destroying enemies left and right by like flaming walls and lightning bolts and all this kind of stuff. And it's always really fascinated me, that sort of feel that the magic is real and it's there, and you can sort of feel its essence throughout the entire story, but it's not hugely over the top, and it's not the main focus of the story. They're the characters and their stories and the sort of lives, the archetypes of these characters, and how they grow and how they experience the world is what's more important. And to me, as being a very sort of narratively driven storyteller, when I play RPGs, I find that very appealing. And the Hero's Journey 2nd Edition focuses upon that very, very well. Magic is there. Magic is very unique. Magic is very, it's awe-inspiring. Whenever magic happens in this game, it feels special. And that's something you can lose in several other fantasy role-playing games on the market right now, is that magic's just another tool to be used. But in the Hero's Journey, it feels like it's very important, and it's very, I don't want to call it taboo, but it's very special when it does happen. And when those things happen, it inspires awe, and it could inspire fear even, but a respect for that kind of a character, or those types of characters. There's a number of other supplements that have come out for this game. The Hero's Grimoire, which is a collection of all the spells in the game, plus 6 additional new ones, so that it's a handy reference for anybody at the table who might be using a magic character that can use magic. And so it's nice to have all those things sort of in a separate little book by itself. And I really appreciate that, because sometimes it's hard, especially if you have a character that has the ability to use magic, and you might have the only rule book. It's hard to, pass that thing back and forth while you're looking up stuff. So it's nice to have a handy guide of all the spells just sort of by itself in its own little supplement. There's the Hero's Companion, which gives you a bunch of new optional rules that expand your characters, expand your game. Some new heirlooms, which are sort of magic items and artifacts and such. It's definitely a must-have for anybody who owns the Hero's Journey 2nd Edition. The Hero's Companion just has a wealth of great new stuff that really, and not only does it expand the game, it just makes the game feel much more rich and in depth. And I really, it's hard for me to put this into words because I really just, it's a game that whenever I pick it up, whenever I play it, whenever I read through it, just really captures me. And it might be because I'm a very visual person as well too, and so the artwork that's been injected into this whole thing really appeals to me. And so it makes me just sort of transports me to that special place where I want to be. I want to be back in a Middle Earth type of a place. But it's the way the game is built, the way that it plays, the way that it grows as you play it and as you experience it. It's just, it really is just an experience within itself. The game is not hard, it's not complicated, it's not crunchy, but it is a unique twist. There's a lot of things you're going to find very familiar if you're familiar with fantasy RPGs of any kind, but there's a lot of great stuff in there that just really feels right. It feels like James Spahn just really captured, and again, this might be a personal preference. If you're not into the whole Tolkien fantasy, that style of sort of storytelling, this might not appeal to you. But for me, it really does. And it really touches on all the key points of things, and not just Tolkien fantasy, but just the fantasy that I love, the old school D&D feel, the sort of Palladium fantasy feel. There's just a lot of stuff that just really appeals to me. Classic fantasy fiction, things like the sort of this, Shannara trilogy. By the way, I still think the original trilogy was the best. The Chronicles of Purdain by Loyal Alexander. Just those kinds of things really give me a nostalgic feeling and take me back to a place that I'm very comfortable with in my fantasy sort of love. The newest supplement for the Hero's Journey 2nd Edition is called Of Beasts, Brave and True. Every classic fantasy story, well, not every classic fantasy story, but most of them have these animal companions, these that are more than companions. They're part of the party. They're part of the collection of things. They're just a little bit above normal animals. They have a sentience about them. They have a very strong bond with other characters in those stories. And that's what the supplement focuses on. Of Beasts, Brave and True allows you to play one of those animal creatures if you so choose. But it also gives you a lot of rules, expanding things like having other animal companions and different aspects of interacting with them as well too. But you just get this idea that, you have this hero who has a trusty steed, right? And now you have the option with this booklet to play that trusty steed. There are new heirlooms, the things that those creatures can use, these artifacts, these magical things that these animals, these companions can utilize. They might be for a horse, it might be a saddle. There's other options of playing like a cat or a bird, an owl, if you were. That's very wise and very in tune with the other characters and works as a scout and as an inspiration for wisdom and such. But a very unique addition that I've never seen before, and I really love that aspect of that addition to the game, because it's really one of those things that, again, adds to that fantasy fiction feel of the types of stories that I really, really love. And they have that sort of bond with people outside of just the other people in their party. They have this connection with their animal companions as well too. And this really adds that aspect to the game in something that I've never ever really seen before in any other fantasy genre, other than wizard can have their, their familiar or whatever. But this takes it another whole other step forward, like a whole new level of gameplay, and just really adds a new richness to this game and the setting that Mr. Spahn has really created, and really makes it a beautiful game. If you haven't experienced the Hero's Journey 2nd Edition, I highly recommend that you go out and get yourself a copy as soon as possible. If you enjoy the videos that I produce and that some of the games that I talk about, I guarantee you will really, really enjoy this game. And it's something you just want to share with people. It's something you just want to experience with other players. And it can be a very beautiful, moving, epic storytelling experience. So until next time, I'm Questwise. Stay safe and game on, my friends.